Welcome to Physics 106, Physical Science for Educators. The purpose of this screencast is to tell you a little bit about the course and review the expectations outlined in the syllabus. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Dr. Jennifer Doctor, and I'm an associate professor in the physics department, but I also work closely with the School of Education to prepare future educators in science. I'm originally from a small town in North Dakota called Jamestown, but I also lived in Minnesota and Illinois before I came here to Wisconsin 5 years ago. My husband is Dr. Ben Anderson, who teaches in the math department, so maybe you've seen him around campus too. We'll also have a teaching assistant and a laboratory coordinator who help out with the class. So that's a little bit about me. During the first week, you'll complete a survey so you can tell us a little bit more about you and what you hope to get out of this class. Now a little bit more about the class. Physics 106 is an introductory physics class, so the main objective of the class is for you to learn physical science content and how to engage in scientific practices such as planning and carrying out investigations. What makes this class distinctly different from other science classes is that it has been specially designed for future teachers of elementary and middle school. So many of the activities and the demonstrations we'll be doing can be adapted to use with young children. In fact, much of the electricity curriculum is the same thing that they do in 4th grade over at Emerson Elementary. So if you look at the syllabus, which is posted to D2L and will be handed out on the first day of class, the top part includes my contact information. So my office hours will be on Monday and Tuesday afternoons this semester from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. with some additional office hours prior to quizzes and exams. And those office hours will take place in my office, which is room 2030 of Cowley Hall. I also do office hours by appointment, so if those times don't work with your schedule, send me an email or an Outlook calendar invitation and we'll find another time to meet. So if you're new to UWL, the university uses a course management system called Desire to Learn, or D2L, and most of our course materials, including the PowerPoint slides and handouts, will be posted there in a section for content. You can access D2L from the UWL website in the Quick Links menu as shown here. If you click on this Quick Links, then you should see kind of a little drop down, and there's a spot here to access the login page for D2L. Then you'll log in with your NetID and password by clicking on this login for NetID here. And then you should see a link to be able to access the Physics 106 class, Physical Science for Educators. So once you're in that page, you'll see a bunch of different tabs along the top. This is mine. I think yours looks pretty similar to this, but in the Content tab, you'll find a bunch of different subfolders. The one including like the course information, such as the link to the syllabus, a link to my calendar, additional information. There will be a folder for PowerPoint slides, which are organized for each of the units we'll be studying. We'll have links to the journals you'll be submitting each week. And not all of this information is there yet, but eventually there will be information about the homework and projects that you'll be doing in the class, and also some answer keys to the practice quizzes. So on the Quizzes tab up on the top, that's where you'll be submitting answers to some of the quizzes that are there, like the homework questions and project essays. The News tab is where I'll be posting announcements and information. You'll also be able to check your grades in the grade book, and also might be submitting a few assignments using the Dropbox. So on the first day of class, you will get a spiral bound booklet, which is really our workbook for all the class activities in your notes. There will be supplementary textbooks available to rent in the bookstore. However, they're optional. I will not be giving any assignments out of those. They're there so you can use them as an additional resource if you really want to. So in addition to this workbook, you'll also need a very simple calculator to use for the class. This is a pretty basic one. You want it to be able to do basic arithmetic, but also exponents, such as like scientific notation. So cell phone calculators okay when we're doing class activities, but they're not permitted during quizzes and exams. So the format of this class is what we call an integrated lab lecture. So we're going to be combining hands-on activities with some direct instruction kind of sprinkled in as needed. The main topics of the course you can see here are matter, motion, electricity, magnetism, waves and sound, and light. So in addition to learning about these different topics in physical science, we'll also be considering the common difficulties that young children have when they're learning science, and we'll be exploring the new science standards which just came out recently in 2013 called the Next Generation Science Standards. So I've included a couple pictures of this one in-class project we do called building roller coasters when we're learning about motion and energy. So they're using some foam pipe insulation and rolling marbles down them. Maybe you recognize some of these faces. All teacher education students who've taken this class in the past. Sometimes people pick a theme. We're competing for the best coaster here. Alright, so if you refer to page 2 of the syllabus, you'll see some specific learning objectives for each unit in the course. I do take attendance in this class because I do think that as future teachers it's important for you to illustrate the dispositions of the teaching profession, which includes valuing the learning experience. Not just that, but your group members are going to be relying on you to be at class. So if you know you're going to have to miss, just please send me an email in advance. I do allow you to use electronic devices during class activities such as cell phones, laptops, and tablets. However, I do ask that you be respectful. If someone's trying to talk to you, either me or one of your peers, please refrain from using your phone or texting at that time. And we usually take a 10-minute break about halfway through the class, so you can also conduct all of your e-business at that time. Alright, so here's some information about the point distribution for course assignments. So one thing to notice is that about half of your grade is going to come from exams. And then another 20% is going to be on quizzes. So the exams are each 50 multiple choice questions, which are each worth 2 points, so 100 points per exam times 4 exams. And then the 5 quizzes will be about 24 points apiece. They're a combination of short answer responses and multiple choice questions. And practice quizzes and exams are provided in your workbook. The group quiz is usually some kind of activity or questions you'll have to answer in your group. And there will be 4 of those, going along with the first 4 quizzes. So weekly journals will be submitted online using links to a Microsoft OneDrive form, and each of those links will be different each week, but they're posted on D2L already. And the homework that we do will be, like I mentioned, on D2L quizzes. So the purpose of doing journals is just to help you reflect on what you've learned that week, and also it's an opportunity for you to let me know what things are still confusing so we can revisit them in a future class period. The homework will be focused on national standards and student misconceptions, so it'll be sending you to some different websites to answer questions that are in that D2L quiz. So I use a points grading scale where the total number of points in the class is 800. And that grading scale is in the syllabus. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about those projects. So in the electric circuits unit, we do a big group project where you design and build a model house, which is wired by batteries, light bulbs, and motors. The project includes not just designing and building the house itself, but also giving a PowerPoint presentation as a group to the class and writing a written report. So we're scheduled to have some in-class work time at the end of November, and the presentations will be at the beginning of December. So here are a couple pictures of some themes that people have chosen for their houses in the past. And I think these are some of the award-winning ones. You can see we had a Finding Nemo theme, Pac-Man, Blue's Clues was very popular, the house from the movie Up. So those are just a few samples of the house wiring project. I'll be providing more information about the project requirements on D2L, but that'll be later in the semester. We also have a great partnership with the Children's Museum for a service learning project during their STEM Saturdays events. So you and a partner will select a demonstration or activity from class and you'll display it for children at the museum. So I'll be posting a sign-up sheet probably in the second or third week of the semester. This semester we have 4 consecutive Saturdays, October 22nd and 29th, and then November 5th and 12th. And there are 2 show times available, either 10 to 11 in the morning or 12:30 to 1:30. And so you and your partner will just sign up for one day and one time. So I'll show you a couple of popular choices for the Children's Museum. You can see you can have kids ride on a hovercraft. You can shoot a ping pong ball through some soda cans with an air bazooka gun. We look at like floating and sinking, what objects will float and sink in an aquarium of water, and then on the right hand side over here they're building aluminum foil boats to see which ones will hold the most pennies. In electricity we have this Van de Graaff generator which makes your hair stand up with static electricity, and we also have this fun fly stick wand which can make a piece of plastic foil hover above it with static electricity. And then here I think they're looking at materials that will let electricity flow through them in building simple circuits. There's also a lot of little hands-on demos on magnets and dropping magnets down a copper tube. A lot of different ways to look at the effects of magnets. Sometimes we don't quite get to waves and sound by the time we go to the museum, but you're certainly welcome to bring some of these materials there. They're building string telephones, different ways to produce sound, and waves using a slinky. Alright, so the last part of the syllabus includes UWL policies and resources, so remember just to abide by the rules for academic conduct and integrity that are set by the university. In addition to that, please let me know if you have any allergies or special needs. And especially if you have an allergy to latex balloons, sometimes we use balloons in this class. So all the units are laid out on a calendar along with the homework, quiz, and exam dates, and I'll be using these labels when I post things to D2L. For example, the first day of class is called Matter Day 1, and that's the name of the PowerPoint slides that are posted on D2L. So you'll kind of notice here as we go through into October and into November, things get a little bit busier with projects and things getting into late November, early December. So you'll just want to be planning for that. And the last exam is taken during the final exam time, but it's not cumulative. It's only going to be on waves and sound and light. In this semester there are 2 exam times because there's 2 sections. So one on Friday and one on Monday, and you can choose to attend the exam for your section or for the other section. It'll be up to you. Alright, so again, welcome to Physics 106, Physical Science for Educators. I'm excited to meet you on the first day of class and get to know more about you. So check the D2L News section for additional announcements, and remember to respond to the introductory course survey by 5 p.m. on Friday, September 9th. So one of the items on the survey will ask you what questions you have about the syllabus and the course expectations, so we can clear those up right away. And again, please notify me if you have any allergies or special needs. All right, I look forward to seeing you soon.